Gonna have a good time, guys? We are. Hey everybody, it's me, Nat with Twiniversity. I am gonna push this back a little bit more. Today we are going to have a live feed that we're gonna use our little babies for, and we're gonna have a nice discussion on sleep tips for newborn twins. So I am noticing now that I'm live that I don't love the height of this. So I'm actually gonna push this a little further back. Those are my fancy curtains. How's that? Is that better? So thumbs up if you guys could hear me, if you could see me, if everything looks okay. I'm very, 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 very excited, of course, to teach you guys some great little sleep tips thanks to our friends over at Love to Dream. So if you are a true dedicated fan of Twiniversity, then you know that, yeah, we're big fans of Love to Dream. And if you are a bonus fan of Twiniversity, then you know what our babies' names are. So if you know what their names are, shout it out, because I want to prove that you know what I'm talking about. And then also I'm going to give you a little logistics on how this is going to go. If you have never joined us for a live feed, we will be on for the next 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not really in a rush. We're here to answer your questions, but we're going to be talking about top sleep tips for newborn twins. It is a hot topic, as you can imagine. It's always been a hot topic because who doesn't like to sleep? So I am Nat. I'm the founder of Twiniversity, and am I the mama of these little babies? They're so super sweet. So I guess I am the mama of these little babies. We're going to talk a little bit more about them in a minute. I'm going to put them over there behind me. But what I'm going to tell you the lay of the land. So I am talking to you right here. Hello, everybody. Look at my nice manicure. Thank you. I did a gel French manicure. I'm very excited about it, although I chipped this nail already. And then over here on this side, so if you see me look this way, it's because when you have questions or comments or something that I need to know, Julie is the wizard behind the curtain at Twiniversity, as we say, and she is literally typing me comments that are coming over on my computer. Then over here I have my beautiful mind wall, which is where all my notes are kept so I don't forget to give you guys any big tidbits. So if you are a first timer here watching us, I would love to know. So is this your first video? Do you come and do you watch us often? I have such great stories to tell you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a million years, and I'm really, really, really excited. So first of all, welcome. Second of all, I am overly excited. I will bring it down a notch. That's how I'm going to try to do it, but I really am. We had a Twiniversity class here in New York City last night, and it was extraordinary. We had 14 families that were all between 24 and 36 weeks. I really thought that she was going to go any minute during class. So we talked a lot about sleep last night, and it's one of the things that we talk about at Twiniversity classes extensively. And if you are expecting and you haven't taken a Twiniversity class, don't get stressed. We have one, I think, Jewel, right, next Monday? So we have Twiniversity class next Monday, so don't feel like you're missing anything. Am I going to lower this? Maybe that's better. Oh, is that better, guys? How's that? I have to like fluff up my hair and stuff. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about safe sleep tips and sleep tips in general. And then every time that you have a question, just shoot it over. Julie will send it to me. And believe it or not, we already have questions. Oh, and Julie's telling me that our next class is October 23rd. So our next Twiniversity online class is October 23rd. And I want to once again thank our friends over at Love to Dream, one of our all-time favorite swaddles. It's insanely innovative, and you're going to see why in about a second. So if you're adding items to your registry, it's a good time to watch this, because not only are we going to talk about tips, but we are going to talk about the product, right? And for the record, I tried to tag you guys in this. I tried to tag Love to Dream in this. Jewel, if you could link to them, that would be great. But for some reason, when I'm using mentions, it didn't go. So I want to let you know we're going to send you the information on how you could continuously follow them. And I do recommend that you do, because while I'm going to give you tips about twins, they're going to give you even more tips about sleep, safe sleep, and all that other stuff. So let's just jump right in. How about that? jump right in, and I want to know who you are and where you're from. So clearly, thanks to Facebook, we know what your name is, but just throw right in the comments where you're from. And what I would love is everybody that's on this feed with us today, if you could find a buddy. I like when you find a buddy for a few reasons. Number one, sometimes buddies win prizes. But ultimately, Twiniversity's job is to really connect you with other families, to educate you, make you laugh, inspire you, and everything in between. So if during this live feed you find somebody that lives in your neck of the woods, let's say, maybe send them a quick message and be like, hey, you want to be my buddy for the party? Because I do promise you, we do have, we always have prizes because I love giving away stuff, but I'd like for you to find a buddy. Now, if there's somebody that you're not connecting with online today, always know that Twiniversity does have a parent-to-parent mentorship programs, because it's not actually just for the moms. If you have any interest in getting a mentor or becoming a mentor, which we always need mentors, just once again, Jewel put a link in it sometime during this feed. Link on over to it, apply, and we would love to get you connected. So look, we have everybody from South Dakota, Chicago, Julie's neck of the woods, Jersey. Wow, that's unbelievable. We're really spanning the globe here, right? Very, very awesome. So yes, so that's our first question of the day, is where you're from and find yourself a little buddy. Now, if you haven't joined Twiniversity live feeds before, then you haven't met these two little munchkins. This is Fred and this is Ginger. Actually, I'm pretty sure that this is Fred and this is Ginger. I have to tell, oh, yep, this is Ginger. Ginger is wearing the beautiful 50-50 Swaddle up from our friends at Love to Dream. And Fred is wearing the traditional Swaddle from Love to Dream. But let's go in and let's give some tips. Let's start it with that, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that your babies are sleeping in a safe environment. That is first and foremost. And it's not too late to do this, or it's not too early to do this, because if you're thinking like when your babies are here, if you're already trying to plan this and be like, oh my gosh, you know, we didn't do this and we didn't do this, do it today if you haven't. And if you're building your nursery, build these items into your nursery. So for a safe sleep area, we need a few things. Number one, we need a sound crib or bassinet. All right, that is one thing that is very, very important. If you're getting a hand-me-down crib or a hand-me-down bassinet, always make sure that you check the website for that manufacturer's information as far as recalls go, or anything that you could find out. But if you're buying something new, you have so much selection, it's overwhelming. I always say at Twiniversity that spend less money on the crib but put more money in the mattress, because the crib is something that you're going to use for a tiny window, but if you convert the crib to then buy an independent toddler bed, you're still going to use that mattress. So instead of just, you know, having a crib that converts to a toddler bed, I always find that it's easier to buy a crib independently and then a toddler bed, which many families do. But you guys, you're buying the cribs that are convertible, that convert into the toddler beds, but you end up going to buy a toddler bed anyway. So if you need to watch your budget a little bit, this is a place that you could save some bucks on getting yourself a new crib. Delta makes a great crib, IKEA makes a great crib, there's plenty of companies out there, Coldcraft makes a great crib too. There's a lot of selection, so, but of course, safety first. So get yourself a good crib. Next thing, make sure that the mattress fits correctly. If you have an older hand-me-down crib with a newer mattress, or I even know, not kidding, there was an issue with Pottery Barn mattresses, that the Pottery Barn cribs were too large and there was too much of a gap between the end of the crib and where the mattress began. Your crib should always snugly fit. Your crib mattress should always snugly fit inside of your crib. So that's one thing. The second thing is no blankets, no toys, no dividers. I love that there's a product on the market that's a literal divider that goes between Fred and Ginger in their crib. This infuriates me because you're not supposed to have anything in the crib. And if you are going to co-bed your twinnies, there really can't be anything in there. So nothing. And I know a lot of families, you're like, but we got all these cute little stuffed animals at the baby shower and grandma made us this blanket. I'm not saying don't use the blanket. I'm saying don't use it in the crib. You could hang all the blankets on the wall. If somebody made you a beautiful quilt for your twinnies, let's say, take it, you could get little safety pins or something, hang it up like a clothesline, be creative, but under no circumstances should there be anything but babies in that crib. The next thing is you know how we were talking about that the crib mattress has to snugly fit? Well, the crib sheet also has to snugly fit. Sometimes this becomes an issue if you buy like a jersey knit, let's say. If you use a jersey knit for like a few generations of kids, let's say you have like 5, 6 kids and you used it for the first kids, jersey knit isn't something that's necessarily going to go the distance with your family. You're probably going to have to buy something like cotton. So make sure that the crib sheet is snugly fitting, because what could happen is, I always say that these babies alligate, right? So once these babies turn, they could, God forbid, get themselves wrapped up into that sheet. So we definitely want to make sure that that crib sheet is fitting very, very, very snugly. Now, the next thing is, this is also a big one. And I know that we're pressed for space. Trust me, nobody knows about tiny house living more than this chick. Or this chick, right? You're Ginger. Because me and Ginger live in a very tiny apartment in New York City. And we have, it's interesting because I don't know when exactly our building was built, but I know that the building was built, electric was kind of an afterthought. So the electric outlets are placed in very weird places, and they're also at a very unusual height. Not typically for code, like what's code nowadays. So if you live in an older home and you're finding that your plugs are in odd places, you really have to make sure that your cords aren't anywhere near those cribs, which means if you have to close up that outlet because that's the only place in the room that the cribs could live, that's what's going to have to happen. Babe, are your shoes over here? I knew it. Hold on, my hubby's shoes are over here. I knew there was a problem. Oh, shoe down. There you go, babe. All right, you're welcome. So make sure that there are no crib, no cords, no wires. This also goes for monitors. If you have a video monitor or if you have just a sound monitor, sometimes they're corded, sometimes they're battery operated, but if they are corded, please don't have any of the cords whatsoever near where those babies are going to be sleeping. Okay, so that's the first tip that I'm going to give you, is make sure that their sleep area is safe. Now we'll get into more like technical sleep stuff, but you can't build a house without a good foundation, and the good foundation is your twins' nursery. So you got to make sure that all those things are in order. We are already getting a million questions that are coming in. So I will say, let's jump right to one of the questions. How's that? Okay. Here we go. So April said, my twin girls are just turning 3 months and I'm ready to start sleep training. I've tried a little bit of the cry it out method in their naps, but sometimes in the second nap, the second twin joins in on the crying. The crying just seems to escalate and I feel like I have to go in and calm them down. If both twins are crying, aka screaming their brains out, while you're sleep training, will they both eventually stop, or will it take double the time until I hear both of them to get calm? Okay, so I think that April is trying to say, if you start sleep training or sleep coaching, whatever you feel most comfortable with the terminology, she's saying that if one is crying and the other one starts kind of mimicking into that, what do we do? Will one eventually stop crying? What happens in this situation? If you are in the process of sleep coaching right now or sleep training, I always say that because Kim West, who's a very good friend of ours, who's literally the sleep lady, she calls it sleep coaching. And she's like, Nat, I could always hear her in the back of my head. She's like, Nat, you train dogs, you coach families. So I get it. but I know it's an old school thing to say that we are sleep training, but we're just kind of teaching these babies. I almost feel like that's like a dirty word, right? So like sleep training or sleep coaching, it's become like this big stigmatized event in a new parent's life. So I want to know right now, if you are sleep training or sleep coaching, please, please, please give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts. Say, yeah, we're in the process of it right now. This is another great opportunity to find a buddy, because when I was personally sleep training or sleep coaching the babies, this one random chick named Maria, she was from Jersey. This is a true story. She reached out to me and she was like, Nat, when they're crying, call me. And my husband was a fantastic help, really, really great. I think that partners are always fairly instrumental when it comes to sleep training or sleep coaching, because they know that like everything's okay and that babies are just crying. Where biologically, when the mom who just had the babies hears the babies cry, your boobs start throbbing, your head starts aching, and you have this kind of fight or flight. So fight, I'm gonna, go in and attack my husband, or I have to get out of here. And so it's good to have him there. With sleep training though, it really is, what babe? To be attacked. My husband is chiming in because he clearly remembers. And also, and babe, like feel free to yell out stuff, but it's true. He was really the one that was initiating the sleep training more than I was. I don't know how I was able, I don't know if it was the postpartum depression that was just making me tolerate the sleepless nights, but for a very, very long time, I was just like, whatever, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't hear the crying. It ate me to the core of my being. And so my husband was really like, Nat, we got to do this. Enough's enough. We can't take it anymore. They were old. We didn't do this, by the way, at 4 months like April's talking about. We waited way, way, way too long. But I also did it, not saying like I'm going to toot my own horn, but there was nobody like me saying, okay, here's how we're going to do this as a family, and I have some ideas, and we're going to make this easier for you. At the time when my kids were born, which I think was, 1936, babe? Because that's how long ago it feels like our kids were born. But at that time, there was really nobody but like Ferber out there. Weissbluth was out there too, but it was still way too stigmatized. Now it's very, very, very commonplace, and it's not until kind of I wear my Twiniversity hat that I realize how many twin families sleep coach or sleep train, whatever. I roll my eyes at myself. So April, to get to your question, if your babies are sleeping next to each other, you do not have to separate them for sleep training. Some people say yes, some people say no. I will say this to you. Look at any nursery in any hospital anywhere throughout the world, or look at a very large family with limited space. When a kid is crying, it is rare that the other kid will chime in because of this kid. They will chime in independently on their own. They don't need another kid to help them cry or to get them crying. But if you look at a nursery in a hospital, there's going to be, Ginger's going to be there wailing her brains out, and Fred is going to be sitting there sound asleep. So they have two different cries. Okay, now I don't know if this is like the biology of twin crying, but there's the cry that's like, play with me, where are you, where'd you go, ah! And then there's the cry that occurs at vaccines or at some kind of other trauma, like if somebody fell, the other twin may cry. I did not believe this myself, but I witnessed it many, many, many times with my own kids. We would, my kids always slept in the same room. We're sleep coached right next to each other. They didn't have an option. We did not have another bedroom to put this one kid in. Even if we were to set up a crib in the living room, let's say, our apartment is so small, you would still hear the crying in the living room. So it really didn't matter where that other kid was. But I could tell that they never really fed off of each other's cries. But as they got older, they would still feel that empathy for the other. And I could see it often at doctor's visits, which is why I bring up vaccines. Because when my son would get a shot, my daughter would just start crying. And I would say, like, why are you crying? And she was very verbal very quickly. And she would look at me and she would say, I don't know. I don't know. She just felt so strongly for her brother that it was a genuine cry that she was feeling. Now, could this happen during sleep coaching? I didn't see it. When, she was screaming her brains out, he would just be sound asleep. So you don't need to separate them. And I would always remember that they are two babies that share the same birthday. It's important that you remember that your twins are not, while they are a package deal, because hello, but they really aren't. They're really these two separate little babies that just happen to share a birthday. So if Fred is soundly sleeping, Ginger might not wake up. And I wouldn't worry about it. I would treat sleep coaching as this is the room they sleep in. They have to get used to sleeping with each other, and I would go from there. Now, you guys know that there's probably a lot more than 3 different methods of sleep coaching or sleep training, right? So the first one is gradual extinction, where you put the babies in drowsy but awake. You set a timer someplace in your house, and then you wait 5 minutes after they start crying. And then you go in, you check on them, you come out, you wait 10 minutes, you wait 15 minutes, and you keep lengthening the portion of time till you go back in. That's called gradual extinction. The funny part is, how many of you think that Ginger could tell time? Because Ginger has no idea if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 25 minutes. The timing increments is for you. It's for you to give them more and more opportunity and to feel comfortable knowing that there's an end game. Okay, I'm going to wait 10 minutes and I'm going to go in and see them and make sure that they're okay. So if you wait little bits and pieces, they might very well find it within themselves to soothe themselves and get themselves to sleep. So that is, I would say, don't separate them. And I would always remember that your babies are 2 different kids, and I wouldn't really worry about them screaming and waking each other up, okay? Now, if you have a different opinion, I would love to hear it. So feel free to type in the comments right now, what your experience was. And you're like, Nat, I have 13 kids, which, by the way, we do have Twiniversity families that do have 13 kids. And they would say, I noticed that with kids 6 and 7, this is what happened. I'm open to any and all suggestions. I'm speaking by my personal experience, and then of course by the professional development that I've done since I founded Twiniversity. But I'm always, always, always open to new ideas. So that's the first thing that we want to talk about. Now, what I do want to talk about is you have to have kind of these sleep conditions, right? We talked about safe sleep. But there are 4 ideal sleep conditions, right? This is different. This is different than kind of setting the stage. This is setting the stage, but to a different level. We talk about this a lot in Twiniversity classes, and this is kind of where Love to Dream comes into the picture. Because our ideal sleep conditions are, number 1, you have to have a dark room. The room should be dark. Now, you could get blackout shades. You could put a lawn bag, duct tape over the window. We used a towel. We had a black towel that we draped over we had like the windows that come down and up. I don't know what those kinds of windows are called. But we would open the top of the window, tuck a towel in, and then shut it, and then had a black drape in front of it. You could buy, the $1,500 blackout shades. I know Home Depot also sells a product that goes over the windows to protect the windows when you're painting. That also is very effective. So it doesn't have to be something that you're spending a lot of money on, but we want to train these babies that darkness equals sleep, and it has to be a dark room in order for them to know that it's time to go to sleep. So dark room. Second ideal sleep condition is cool temperature. It's got to be between 68 and 72 degrees. This is very important. Now, this came up last night in class when we were talking about our swaddles, right? People were like, well, I'm worried that they're going to overheat. Because your babies have a hard time regulating their body temperature for a little bit of time, you should always use the example that your babies wear 1 more layer than you do. So if your house is running on the cooler side and you are sleeping in nothing, it's possible. I don't know who does that, but maybe you do, and I'm all for it. But then just have the swaddle. If you wear a nightgown to bed or you wear pajamas to bed, then in addition to the swaddle, you would have them have a little pajama underneath it. That is what you have to do. So always think that your babies need one additional layer than what you are personally wearing yourself. So think about this. The 68 between 68 and 72 should be the ideal temperature. Julie and I found that there's a product called the Natamo, right, Jewel? It's called the Natamo. You leaving, babe? Love you, honey. See you later. So the Natamo is this little pod device. It looks like a salt shaker, let's say, and it tests the humidity and the temperature of the kids' room and will send alerts to your phone if it got too cold or too hot. So know that products like that exist. Do you need them? I don't know if you really need them. I think it may be a want. It's certainly not a need. You could just feel what the temperature is in your house. Certainly if you have central heating or central air conditioning, that is very easy to modify. But if you don't, and you have window air conditioners or some kind of other heating element, or maybe even radiators, you may want to consider having something to make sure that the babies never get overheated. The third ideal sleep condition is white noise. You have to have some kind of white noise. People think like, oh my gosh, my babies are born. You go into the nursery's super noisy in the hospital. They come home from the hospital, you put the babies in their cribs, and then it's silence, and you're like, shh, the babies are sleeping. The babies don't know what silence is. Silence is something new to them. So they're just like, what? What's happening? Silence? We don't like the silence business. So give them some white noise. And there's a lot of different white noise on the market. You could buy a literal white noise machine. Our friends at Cloud B make some fantastic white noise machines. You could get an old AM radio and put it on static. You know, your humidifier is white noise, an air conditioner is white noise, a fan is white noise, but you need some kind of white noise in the little puppy's room. Now I'm gonna give you one more sleep condition, and that's gonna bring us right into our first time. And if you know what time it is, make sure you shout it out. So for our friends that are joining us for the first time, watch with our kind of experienced Twiniversity live feeders start to say and jump in on that. So the last ideal sleep condition is having a swaddle. So why do we swaddle kids? Why do we do this, Nat? Ginger, could you please tell me why we swaddle kids? Could you guys hear my dog drinking water? She's so loud, it's hilarious. Thank you, Danielle, and everybody else that's chiming in. Yes, prize time is upon us. So why we swaddle? Number one, we swaddle because in utero, your babies are, you know, they're really kind of compressed in there. I mean, to just take Ginger, I mean, I'm not going to say do baby yoga with your babies, but your babies in the womb are really, really, really cramped in there. So when they come out, this is very liberating at one note, but at the second time, mimicking the womb is comforting to them because this is what they like. The other thing is that babies have a startle reflex. I have reflux from drinking way too much coffee today, but that's a topic for another day. When your babies are little, and for a while, you could watch them when they sleep, and you ever watch your baby, they do this? Or you'll sometimes maybe be half asleep, and then your body will jerk or your leg will jerk, and so that's kind of, that's a natural instinct that happens, and this could jar your baby awake. If your baby is in a swaddle, there's less of a chance that it's going to jar them awake because they're kind of compressed on in there. And why we work with our friends at Love to Dream is notice this swaddle is not your typical swaddle. This swaddle, it makes you swaddle your babies with paws up. So Ginger is our demo baby of the day. And you could see that this swaddle, instead of, you know, having a swaddle like this, which it's fine if you have a swaddle like that, but if you're buying new swaddles, strongly consider the ones like this, because watch this. When your baby is sleeping, you always put the baby back to sleep. Everybody, I want you to shout out right now, back to sleep. Back to sleep, back to sleep, back to sleep, back to sleep. I don't care if you think that your baby feels more comfortable on their belly. Back to sleep all of the time, all right? So back to sleep, back to sleep. When this little Ginger girl, when she's back to sleep and she rolls over for the first time, woo, how exciting, Ginger rolled over. If she was in a traditional swaddle, she might have a difficult time getting out of this position. But with the Love to Dream swaddle, what happens is Ginger could push her tiny little paws down and she's able to lift her face. So do you see how that goes? The other thing that's cool about this swaddle is not only could she lift herself up by being able to press down on the little wings that she has, but she also has easy access to her paws, right? So Ginger could sit there and she could chew on her hands, even though it's in a swaddle, she could still chew on this. And this is fine to do with this particular swaddle blanket. So this is why we love the Love to Dream. I do feel like they are the safer sleep option. I know that if I had more twins or more children, this is what they would be using. I also know that when I go to baby showers, this is what I buy. This is what I buy my friends, because a lot of people don't know about it. And everybody's worried about, you know, the onesies that say, Aunt Nat's the greatest, or whatever. Or, you know, I'll see you in my crib at 3 a.m. with a bottle on it. Well, that stuff is super sweet. But things that a mom needs and things that a dad needs, sometimes they don't always know what it is. I do know, and that is why this is usually the gifted item that I have. It's usually this, or I get them a carrier. Yeah, but I'm really big on these swaddles. Plus, they're not obscenely expensive, right? They're a little bit on the pricier side, but they are well worth it. Now, if you don't know about making the investment, you could also buy, hold on, Julie's distracting me with the prize time. I know I got to do a prize time, but there's different types of the Love to Dream swaddles, and we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so we are going to give away some prizes. It's prize time. Wow. I need to sleep, guys. It was a long weekend of apple picking and watching Netflix. I have a new favorite show. I think it's called A Taste of Home or A Taste of the Country. If you don't know what you're watching next, this is the show. If you've watched it, I'm going to start a Danielle French fan club. It's going to be wonderful. It's such a calming show that I loved it. So if you right now would like to win, we are doing 2 Swaddle Up Originals, the best thing ever. If you would like to win 2 Swaddle Up Originals for your twinnies, all you have to say is, I gave you the clue before, but you got to say it right now, back to sleep. That is how your kids have to sleep. Back to sleep, 2 Swaddle Up Originals. Boom, Julie will pick a winner and we will go on to our next topic. So that's funny. Our topic number 2 is back to sleep. You put them on their back till their 1st birthday. So if you're like, how long do I do this? When do I do this? How do I do this? What do I do, Nat? Back to sleep till you are 1 year old, or not 2 years old, even though 1 + 1. So until Fred and Ginger turn 1, they will always go back to sleep. Oh, my babies, they're so super sweet. I love these kids. I take them everywhere, by the way. So if Love to Dream is watching us today, just know that anytime I teach anything, Fred and Ginger are now my new entourage. And it's better that way because I can put them in a bag and it's cheaper to fly with them. So that's that. Now, the next sleep tip that we're going to give you, we've already talked about, it's use those swaddles. So the first one is make sure, if you're just joining us now, the first one is make sure you have a safe sleep area. The second thing is make sure they're sleeping on their back till their 1st birthday. The third one is use a swaddle. The fourth one is use pacifiers. All right? Pacifiers are your friend. They are not a dirty word. Parents of twins tend to use pacifiers more than parents of singletons because there are many, many, many times that we literally have to pacify a child. So there are tons of pacifiers on the market. Make sure you are buying the correct pacifiers for your children. I can't tell you how many times I go to somebody's house for a consultation or help them, start the potty training process or whatever, and I see that they are still using newborn pacifiers when their kids are out of that range. It is critical that you use the correct pacifier for the age of your children. If you think about it, and if you have pacifiers in your home now, you'll notice that the bulb of the pacifier extends as the age of your baby does. The reason for that is these little pearly whites have to grow in. If the nub of the pacifier, right, or the bulb of the pacifier is too close to their teeth, It's going to totally mess with their oral motor development. Please don't do that. Ma'am makes a extremely superior pacifier that not only is going to be the correct placement for your children's oral motor development, but wait for it, it glows in the dark. What? Who thinks of these things? They do, because they do pacifiers right. So out of all the companies that are out there, they're one of the oldest companies that are making pacifiers, but they make glow-in-the-dark pacifiers. And when you're registering, if you're expecting now and your babies are not here yet and you're like, I want to get a jump on this, register for an array of ages, but also an array of types. Some kids like silicone, some kids like latex, some kids like the purple ones with the handle. Just know that there are better pacifiers. So try to register for the better ones, because people are buying you presents, and hello, we want them to buy us stuff. So make sure that you have the correct pacifier and you're using it, because it definitely makes for a safer sleep situation. Next thing is rocking, shushing, patting them down, calming them down before sleep. We don't want to have level 10 fiesta before it's bedtime. You don't. You want to be like, there's reason why there's nursery rhymes and mindful speaking. And Julia, if you have any questions, she's going to throw them out to you. So rest assured, Katie, she's on top of it. But try to keep everything low key. If you have the television on, lower it. If you have the music on, put something soothing on. Leave the Ozzy Osbourne for the morning time. Right now, before you begin putting them into bed, calm the house down. This goes for naps. This goes for bedtime. This goes for any time that you need your kids to chill, because they feed off of your energy. If you're like wild and crazy, woo, 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 or if there's like a party in your house, or you have everybody over and they're chit-chatting, even if it's not like a legit party, but like if your mom comes over and your aunt comes over and they're all cackling, laughing about crazy things you did when you were little, maybe everybody has to just bring it down a notch. And if they can't bring it down a notch, instead of trying to soothe the babies in the common area of your house, take them into their room. Put the lights down low. Put them in their cribs. You could lean over their cribs. You could rub their tiny backs. You should shush them. You could calm them down. Definitely, definitely, definitely. You need to have everything calm, just like this, before your twinnies go to sleep. Think about this for yourself as well. Now, healthy sleep isn't just for your babies, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but many parents are victims, and I call us victims, and I'm one of them. That we make mistakes when it comes to sleep that we don't even realize are mistakes. Like, did you know that that's funny, I was just looking for my cell phone and then I realized this is it right here. But you should never use your phone before bed, because the light that's emitted triggers your brain into not knowing that it's time to go to sleep. So a lot of us pick up our phones before we go to bed. We'll be like, I'm going to play one more game of Ruzzle. I'm going to check the weather for tomorrow. I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. Before you go to bed is not the time to do this. All right? So absolutely not, because of the way that the light comes out. Same thing for your kids. As your kids get older, don't give them a tablet and say, here, watch an episode of Clifford or whatever they're into that day. You want to make sure that you're creating kind of this calming environment. And believe it or not, a tablet or a phone is not. Even though it's something that they enjoy, it's not really good for them. So skip that, calm it, shush it. The next thing that I want to tell you, right, because now we are up to number 6. Please, 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 always change. Change them. Not change us, because we're perfect the way that we are. But change their diapers before you feed them or before you put them down if they're wet. So before you put them down, let's modify this. In the beginning, right, for the first few weeks, we're going to be feeding every 3 hours around the clock. And we could talk about that in another live feed. And we have tons, by the way, of content for you. So if you enjoy kind of this interactive experience that we have, we're live pretty much weekly. Next week, we're doing something, I think, on formula feeding. So that's going to be pretty exciting with our friends from Earth's Best. But so just know, oh, she's got something on her little head here, maybe lipstick. But just know that you should always make sure that they are dry. We don't want to put them in a sopping diaper, and it is pretty important that you buy the right diaper. Not all diapers were created equal, and if you're an experienced parent, you know that that's true, sadly. I wish to say that, you know, the 4-cent diaper worked as well as the 10-cent diaper. Some definitely work better than others. I've always feel confident of working with Pampers because they have the baby dries, a 12-hour dryness. I know the science behind it because they are one of the companies that really took the time to make sure that I was schooled appropriately on the science of diapering. And I could tell you that even if your baby peed a little bit, having them go to sleep in it isn't the worst thing in the universe because there's layers upon layers upon layers of protection that are going to protect that skin from the wetness. Okay, but always, if you know that there's poop in there, there's nothing a diaper is going to do for you. There is no diaper under the sun that will help you have less of a chance. Actually, that's not true. I think Pampers actually may. You know that there's a layer of lotion on top of every Pamper that's out there? But if the baby poops, the poop is directly against their skin, and that could eat at their skin and create a pretty bad diaper rash. So if you know that there's poop in there, please make sure that you change them before you put them down. And if it's a heavy-duty sopping wet diaper, please make sure that you change them as well. So we always want to make sure that they have a clean diaper before they take a nice little nap. The next thing is, as we talked about before, the ideal sleep conditions, right? So blackout curtain, sound machine, cool temperature. These are important elements, whether you joined us a few minutes ago or you watched us from the beginning. Know that you really do need these, and I'm not just making them up to hear myself speak. Although basically, do you realize that that's what I do? I basically just listen to myself speak for 45 minutes at a time, or Twiniversity classes for two hours if you're online, and 3.5 if you ever make it over here to New York City. But this is basically what it is. But we talk about all of this stuff. So yeah, so don't worry if you miss anything and you're joining us for a class. All right, guys, guess what? What time is it? Do you know what time it is? Tell me what time it is if you know what time it is. Ginger, do you want to tell them what the next time is? All right, Fred. Fred gets very, very jealous. I don't know why, Fred. I mean, I know you're like the original, and I'm not going to say I love you more, Fred, because I love you equally. And there's plenty of mommy to share, and I'm going to try to be as fair as possible. But you're right, Fred. It is prize time. Prize time, prize time, prize time. If you know what the next prize is going to be, Ginger, do you want to tell them? Okay. Our next prize is going to be one of Nat's books. What, Fred? We're giving away books. This is crazy. We've lost our mind. What day of the week is it? It's Tuesday. I was just going to say it's Monday Madness, but then I realized yesterday was a holiday, so it didn't count in my mommy brain. Monday, not Madness. Tuesday Madness, we're giving away a copy of our book. If you don't have a copy of this little book on my shelf right there, of what to do when you are having to, I would love for you to have one. It is definitely the book that every parent of twins has to have in the world, every expectant parent, but it also covers everything through the first year. So even if your babies are here and you're like, Nat, don't be mad, I didn't know about your book. I'm not upset at all. Anytime that you could use the information is when I want you to have it. So if you'd like to win a copy of our book, what do you have to say? Just say, I want a book. We'll make it as simple as possible. No problems here. Just say, I want a book. Kathy's already on it. And Julie will pick a winner and she will announce it. And that, Julie, tell me who wins the book too. I get so excited. So we're going to give away a book now. I'm telling you, you're going to absolutely love it. And of course, it's available on Amazon and every place under the sun. And even if you don't want to buy one, I am never offended, by the way, if you don't feel like buying a book. And I know that not everybody has, you know, an extra 15 bucks in their life. But most major libraries, well, actually not even major, most libraries carry this book. And if they don't carry your book, ask your librarian, and odds are they will get a copy of our book and they will put it in circulation in your local area. And if you go to the library regularly, I'm glad I said that right, I was worried about it, and you see our book, I would be so crazy honored if you took a picture of our book in your local library and you sent it to us either here on Facebook or over on Instagram. And you know that here, of course, you know where we are because hello, you're on it right now. You're on our Facebook page. But we do have an Instagram account as well, and that's just at Twiniversity. We're on Pinterest at Twiniversity, on Twitter at Twiniversity. I think we have a Snapchat account at Twiniversity. And then personally, you could always follow me over on Instagram at Nat's Real World. So it's at Nat's Real World, which is just craziness outside of Twiniversity. But it is my life with my twinnies and my 97-pound rescue dog and a pretty good husband. He's not here, so I don't have to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. And I have a great, which is the adventures that we go on. So feel free to follow us all on that, but definitely check out our book if you don't have the book. Connie, congratulations! I'm so happy that you are going to read one of the best books that has ever been written by humankind. I'm being modest, by the way. No, it's really, I mean, it's a good book. We're going to update it, though. So if you read it and you're like, Nat, there's a few things that are a little out of date. I'm on it. The guilt is upon me to do the right things for you guys, and I will. So the next thing that we're going to talk about, and just to kind of reiterate the items that we've had already. So safe sleep, good crib, good mattress, firmly against the sides, no loose fitting sheets. We have place the child on their back till their first birthday, use swaddles, use pacifiers, diaper change before sleep if it's really bad, prepare the room. And then the next one is same thing, make sure that the babies aren't overheated. Make sure they are not overheated. That is why those little items or thermometers or whatever you want to get, don't care. There's even some baby monitors that have a temperature gauge inside of them. If you're worried about it, I know I was really worried about it, and it was an issue. And I'm lucky that it didn't become a problem because we live in a building that has steam heat. I can't change the temperature of our house. It's whatever the landlord gives us in our house. So if the person above me is freezing, or actually it's the person below me is freezing, right? Because hot air rises. So if the person below me is hot, we all get fried. We're like, oh my God, we're dying. It's so hot in here. So most of the time, I have an air conditioner in this window. We use it the majority of the summer. But if you're hot in your living room and you know that in the twins' room that it's hot as well, make sure that you're doing something to control that. So you could put a fan, you could leave an air conditioner on, anything that has to happen. Just make sure that those puppies don't get overheated. Next thing is put them down at the same time. Don't be like, okay, Ginger, it's time for you to go to sleep. I love you so much. Da da da. Oh, I'm going to go spend some time with Fred. I love spending time with Fred. Fred's my favorite. Fred, I want to read a book just to you. Now it's time for you to go to sleep. Dun dun dun. Don't do that. Put them down at the exact same time, because if Ginger's sleeping and you walked in and now she sees you, or if you're breastfeeding, she could smell you. She could be like, what? Nap time's over? Nope, nap time isn't over. I was just trying to bring Fred into this party. So bring them in, put them down at the same time. Now, let's just say everybody's sleeping soundly, 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 and then Ginger is an early riser. Ginger wakes up. No, no favorites, never favorites. Maybe somebody I like more than one day, but certainly never a favorite. Maybe Ginger is an early riser. Take advantage of the early riser. This is the opportunity that I'm going to have to spend just me and Ginger. Fred could stay sleeping. Fred may need a little bit more sleep. If that's the case, let him sleep. But go liberate Ginger if you think that she's had enough nap time. Ginger's definitely like, she's getting a little to be my favorite. I know that this is horrible, but I feel like today you guys have spent more time with her than you've spent with Fred. What am I going to do, Ginger? So yes, if Ginger is the early riser, go and get them. It happens a lot. If this happens in your house, if you notice that your babies are waking up at different times, let me know and let people see that it's not so crazy, that really this is the way things go with our babies. All right, now the last tip I'm going to give you, because I'm doing pretty good on time. I'd like a tiny bit of credit because I usually either go under or I go over. But I think today I'm literally going to finish on time. And I think it was from that moment that we had before where I had that calmness and it put me back on my schedule. So the last tip that I'm going to give you is have a monitor. If you are worried about them, or if you're worried about, you know, how are they sleeping? Are they sleeping? What are they doing? Are they rolling over? What's happening? have a video monitor there so you could watch the kids and you could see what's going on. But I'm giving you a little disclaimer here. If the babies become your new reality show, you may need to go just to a sound monitor. Because watching them at a time that you're supposed to be resting is not really helping anybody. You have to rest whenever you can rest, because taking care of these little kitties, it's a big job. As far as monitor recommendations go, there's a lot of monitors. The VTech monitor is one that I like. Summer Infant actually makes a really good monitor. But yeah, we'll actually put up I think we have an article on monitors. Jewel, if we do, if you could link that to them on our website, that would be fantabulosity. But try to use the monitor as a tool to see what's going on, and don't get too stressed about it. And always remember, if they are crying, they are breathing. It is something that somebody told me 1,000 years ago, and I wish that I would have known that sooner, because then I would have realized that, you know, they're okay. And sometimes babies cry. And there isn't a right way to do this. That's also something very important that I stress to you. You know that my word is not law. And I should have said that at the beginning of the feed, and I totally forgot. But I don't want you to think that the way that I do things is the right way. Every family is different. Every home is different. Every set of twins is different. Every situation is different. If you're like, you know what, Nat, sleep coaching's not for me, we're going to pass, and you don't need to, pass. Don't even think about it. But if you're like, I'm at my wit's end, I can't do it, we'll certainly help you. But at no time is Twiniversity big on parent shaming or any of that crap that the rest of the world is doing. Whatever you're doing is fine, if you're happy with it. If you're not happy with it, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you get through whatever it is. And there's things that I will recommend that families do that I necessarily haven't done, or that I necessarily don't agree with. But if I know that it's a good fit for that family, that's my job. My job is to make sure that you are happy, not to make me happy. I'm done. My kids are big. They're really great. I have to, truthfully, I did a really good job. Give myself a pat on the back there. Where most moms are like, oh, I'm a terrible mom. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, there's a million things that I could have done differently. And Julie and I always joke, and my sister always jokes, that the next book that I should write should be called 27 Things I Could Have Done Differently 5 minutes ago. Because I'm always second guessing myself. And I did it a lot when I was parenting them, and when they were little, and when they were infants. And something that I've learned now that they're older, I wasted all that energy for nothing. I spent so much time getting so stressed about the small stuff that I forgot to bask in the moments that were right before me. So while sleep is definitely a big issue, and while the tips that I gave you today are definitely legendary, and while truthfully, I'm telling you the truth, if you need a swaddle, this is the swaddle that you're going to get. And it's because of our friends at Love to Dream that give me these opportunities to come on today and say, hey, listen, let's talk about this. And they're absolutely delightful to work with, because they're like, what do you want the topic to be? And I'm like, here's what I think it should be. Because I see your questions and I see your comments on our pages. But always know that we're here to support you no matter what you do, no matter when you do it, and I got your back. But don't second guess yourself. Enjoy the moments that are right in front of you, and just really try to capture as many moments as possible. Because one thing that I find that all parents do is you lose perspective. You're like, these kids are never going to sleep. They're never going to poop on the potty. They're never going to hold their own bottle. They will. They totally, totally will. You just got to get to that point. So stay strong. I want you guys to have the best day ever. Oh, Jewel, I want to give away one more prize. Remember at the beginning of the feed, I told you to find a buddy? So what I would love to do is, because we're talking about sleep today, I would like to get you guys some gift certificates for either Starbucks or Dunkin' or something like that. But something to wake you up. Even if you're not a caffeine person, have a donut or have a breakfast sandwich. So all you have to do is just say, we're super sleepy, and tag your buddy. Or you could even just write your buddy's name. But we will try to get you and your buddy the prizes. That's what we want to do. So yes, I want to give you more prizes. I love giving you prizes. Hi, this is my own prize supply that I'm giving you guys. But I know I am sadly fairly dependent upon caffeine now. I never drank coffee until I had kids. How crazy is that? I barely drank alcohol and I really never drank coffee until I had kids. And then once the twins were born, I'm like, yeah, now I can see what all the hype is about. So if you would like to win, tag your friend. I love it. Lisa's tagging Josh. It makes me very happy to know that you guys are connecting. It's really, really, really important that you find a buddy. I'll always be a buddy. You know I'm good for that. But yeah, you got to find a buddy that's either in your local area, or you could find a buddy that is through Twiniversity. The Multiples of America is a great website to go to if you don't know. If you have a local twins club, just go to Multiples of America. Julie could shoot the link over and you could find out if there's a club in your local area. Of course, here in New York City, we have the Manhattan Twins Club. I ran it for 10 years. It was my lifeline. My lifeline to humanity was what my local twins club was. So I strongly suggest that not only find your buddy for the feed, because I like to give away some prizes, but also to make sure that you have that connection, right? So, Jules, let me know when a winner has been picked. And I am really, 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 you're super sleepy. I absolutely love this. I can't believe how, oh look, Jocelyn, congratulations. I am very happy that you won. Guys, you know there's always more prizes, so don't get stressed about it. I will see you guys next week. Do not be late. We have a lot coming up. Next week we have, is it next week that we have a live feed? Oh, you know what's happening next week? I'm going to Las Vegas. But guys, I'm not doing it for like my fun. I'm doing it for you. You're welcome. Be more appreciative of the Vegas trip that I do. So I'm going to what's called the ABC Baby Expo in Vegas. This is the last time we're going there. And we're going to see all the new products that are coming out. I know as fact that there is a new twin bassinet that's on the market that we're going to check out. And there's also a new carrier that we're going to check out in depth. So stay tuned. Julie will post all the information over on our Facebook page. You could get emails, whatever you want. But thank you very much for joining us today. It was an honor to hang out with you. And I hope that the rest of your day is equally as wonderful as it's been by letting me into your home. So see you later, alligators. Have the best day ever.